Hi, my name is Tim, and this is my first try. So I'm very scared, and I want to introduce weekly market highlights. I suppose to make these reviews of markets every week, and this is my first attempt. So, Um, First, I want to say why I'm doing this. If honestly, I'm looking ways to attract some attention to my project, Investazy.com, so I decided to try to record some reviews, video reviews of markets events for the week. So, in the past, I was a TV anchor for several years in Russian business channel, and I have some expertise in this, so I can make some added value. But I was doing this in English, so now, as you can see, I'm not a native English speaker and actually not English speaker at all. So I will want you to excuse me for that. I will try to be a better in a time. So let's check an important events for this week. I want to highlight five events. This week was quite interesting, and what events we can highlight. First, Bank of China unexpectedly cutting rates first time in 2 years. The second, civil unrest in Ferguson, which triggered a protest in several US cities. The third, OPEC decided to keep production unchanged, which caused oil and commodities markets to crash. Weak US economic reports were published this Wednesday, and this caused US 10-year bond yields to fall around 15 basis points. So doing the bond yields in Europe, which fell to record lows, while stock markets in Europe are getting close to its highs, especially DAX. DAX index rose 12 session in a row, and which is quite impressive. So the stock index performance for this week in US dollars was different. Europe is in little plus. Russia was quite underperformer because of oil market crash. Russia lost 8%. Greece was underperformer too. Turkey market is a winner 4% for the week because of lower oil prices, and analysts say that Turkey economy is one of the most winners from the falling oil prices. USA unchanged. Canada minus 3% after oil prices fell, of course, and China was the best performer, plus 8% after a decision of People Bank of China a week ago to cutting rates first time in 2 years. So let's start with that. China's central bank unexpectedly says it's lowering main lending rate in China, and it was in November 21st, a week ago, after China's market closed. So we had a little reaction, a little spike in commodity currencies. We had a spike in gold, in oil, but that was really short term. But what we really see in after this decision was China's stock market performance, which gained 8.5% by the index CSI 300. The stock market rose each day of the week, and it was quite impressive. Analysts say that the decision of People Bank of China to lower rate will not support banks or economy by itself, but it sends a market a signal that China's government is ready to act. And market became more confident about China's economy. The second main event on this week was a Ferguson unrest. This is an interesting case. It's not a market moving event, of course, but it could attract us by interesting ideas. I wonder why a mistake of a cop could cause so much civil unrest at all country, because we had in New York demonstrations in Seattle, Washington, Harlem, New York, San Francisco, Oakland. So we had a lot of mass protest. Why? Cops risk their lives every day because guns permitted in USA, and every potential man has a gun and he can shoot you down any day. So any cop could make mistake at any time, because they are facing a danger to be killed every day. So I think healthy society should understand this, but US society doesn't. So we have serious unrest. Some pictures of this unrest via Google. So why was this happen? Maybe Michael Brown case is just a trigger of some dissatisfaction in US society, because country where rich become richer and poor become poorer, we can see such a things. So maybe this was just a trigger. I want to know that US real household income is declining for the last 15 years. So when your wealth constantly declining and you see how stock market rising, and you have much more billionaires every year, maybe the lowest tier of society could be dissatisfied. So in history we had some similar cases, but not so much cases of social unrest. So I wonder why this one case of this poor guy, poor young cop, could cause so much unrest, so much protest. Maybe this is something more than just one case, than one court decision. So this is the question. The main market event this week was OPEC meeting. Really, I don't remember other OPEC meeting which was followed by so strong market reaction, because all meetings that I watched before were much more predictable. So as you can see on this chart, this is oil price for Brent oil. It fell more than 12% this week, and oil fell before decision and fell after decision. It was around $6 in 2 days after this decision was declared, was announced. So why was that? Actually, it was most unpredictable outcome ever, because expert polled by Bloomberg agency divided 10 by 10 for quota cut and no change. So there were no single opinion what they will do. But for me, it was quite predictable that OPEC will not cut production, because several reports before the meeting was assured us about that. So on Monday I figured out that oil price will continue to fall anyway. You can see this recent fact collection that was published on Investazy.com 24th November. I wrote that possible oil reactions to OPEC meeting, all of them is to decline, no changed like it really was, and other reactions. If they cut 500,000 barrel per day and 1 million barrel per day. But actually it was on 24th November. I didn't I didn't suppose that oil price will decline since 24th November all the week before decision, and here one can thought that OPEC decision of no change quota were widely expected and widely priced in. So I expect that market will bounce back because after a long trend in falling prices, you can expect that some short cover if you buy a rumor and sell the fact. But it didn't happen. We had a strong reaction to OPEC decision, and the market closed on the week lows around $70 per barrel. So it was really some unexpectedly for me, but it wasn't unexpectedly in terms of fundamentals, because the fundamentals for the oil market are really weak. So it was most interesting event, and this caused decline in Russian ruble, the same amount, around 10%. Norwegian krone fell 3%. Canadian dollar and Australian dollar fell by 1% each. Now it looks like a full panic in it looks like a panic in oil market, and I want to know this chart Wall Street Journal guy published in Twitter, which show us that oil prices were closed between $20 and $14 in today's real prices. This is price of oil adjusted for inflation. So we had a period of 2 decades of very low oil prices. Yes, and this guy signaled that oil prices could move lower, maybe somewhere around 40 or 50. Yes, this is interesting fact, but it doesn't take into account that something was changed after that. It was China. Look at the China's oil production and consumption, more at consumption. China consumes now more, around 8 million barrels per day than 25 years ago. One thing that I forget to say about US stock market reaction for oil price decline was a huge sell-off in oil names and huge blow up in airline stocks. American Airline, Delta Airline, JetBlue, Southwest Airlines, all these stocks hit record highs. So you can see here JetBlue was the best performer, and as you can see here, American Airlines, US airlines companies rose for the past 2 years 300%. So it was quite amazing run, and now it looks like a bubble a little bit. So next market events which I want to note was some economic reports in USA. Most of them came on Wednesday, and as you can see, most of them were lower than expected. Durable sex transport, adjusted consumption, Chicago PMI, consumer sentiment, new home sales, pending home sales. So the market reaction was really limited, but if you look at the bond yields for the week, we had some decline in US treasuries, 10-year treasuries yields, which fell around 15 basis points per week. But it doesn't affect the stock market The stock market is still near record highs. Volatility is low. Investors are really confident about US market and US economy going forward to the next year. I have read some reports, some strategies, Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Banks, everybody pretty assured that US economy will be resilient and one of the safe havens of the next year. So the real question is, if you are selling US stocks today, what will you do with that money tomorrow? Because bond yields are really low, so you should have a really strong reason to sell US stocks. So it were still not enough after this economic reports to sell US stocks. So US stocks are close to record highs. They were touched record high around 2070 by S&P 500. But what I want to look at is the DAX, Germany DAX index. It is close to main level 10,000 and it rose 12 days up in a row. That was pretty amazing, and this DAX index near all-time highs. And I want to note that European bond yields are on the record lows because of a weak economy, and this is in contrast with what stock markets do. As we could saw, the DAX index is near record highs, and if you can see, for example, this chart, Italy unemployment hits record high on a certain percent, with youth unemployment around 43%, and bond yields is on record low. Interesting that investors assume that there is no any issues with Italy credit worthiness because ECB protects all the bonds, and you have no any risk of default. Even if economy will getting worse, there is no risk of default in Europe, and I think this is some kind of bubble environment which can have a bad consequences in the future. I don't know how it will be finished, but you should watch this. And the French story is the same like in Italy. Unemployment is rising and bond yields are on the record lows. So this is the bubble word of quantitative easing from central banks. So that was my first weekly review. I'm sorry for my English, and see you next time a week later. Thank you very much.